When I used to travel for Sigma Chi, I was asked by every chapter, other than Delta Eta, which is your, oh, wow. Other than Delta Eta, which is your favorite chapter? Now, of course, I could never answer that because you are all special and amazing in your own unique way. But I do have to say, I do have one favorite Sigma Chi, and that is my husband, 64th Grand Consul, Keith Krach, who I'm so honored to introduce you to today. I have a feeling that Keith doesn't need much of an introduction with this group here, but if you'll indulge me as a wife, it's a great honor to get to take a minute to tell you a little bit about him. So Keith, I will tell you, many of you know him, and those of you who don't, you would love this guy. He is just the greatest. He's the greatest brother, the greatest friend, the most fun person in the entire world. He is an accountability partner, and he is that person that when you have a dream or something you're really worried or fighting for, he will tell you to jump in water over your head and take that risk to make it come true. He is also the last one to leave a party and the first one to be there when you really need someone. He's a very good man, so I'm really happy that you'll get to hear from him tonight. I remember the first time that I heard Keith speak was 21 years ago here at LTW. I, of course, didn't know him, and I was sitting in the audience as a sweetheart, and I heard him give the keynote at workshop, and I just thought he was absolutely amazing. Little did I know that 10 years later I would meet him again and we would be married today. But I'll tell you a little. So Keith grew up right here in Ohio in a small town. He had a very close family. He worked side by side with his dad since he was a little boy. He worked in the machine shop. He would be sweeping out stalls in the bathroom. He would be welding. He did everything with his dad. He learned the value of hard work, and his dad was a great mentor for him. Keith also was a great baseball player and a football player. I think they put a football in his crib when he was born. I think they do that here in Ohio. And he then went on to Purdue, was a pitcher at Purdue. Yeah, Delta, Delta. And then also on to Harvard, both on GM scholarships, full merit scholarships. He worked incredibly hard. And at Purdue, the greatest decision of his entire life was to join Sigma Chi fraternity. It was an opportunity and an honor that changed the course and set who he is today. He loved his time with Delta Delta, and I actually think that when Keith pictures heaven, it actually looks like the Delta Delta chapter house. Keith was Magister. He was a 2-term consul. He had a nearly perfect GPA. He had 1 B, all A's other than that, but he said, I never missed a party. He was also, yes. He was also the International Balfour Award winner. What a great honor, and so wonderful to see this tonight. So I think that's probably one of his greatest honors of his whole life. So after Purdue, he was sad to leave Delta Delta, but had to go get a real job. So after Harvard, he went back to GM, has a lot of loyalty for GM. He's still the youngest vice president to ever come out of GM. He then went on to Silicon Valley, and he's really a tech entrepreneur. For those of you who don't know much about Keith, he's a true trailblazer in technology. He's a disruptor, he's a statesman, he's an ambassador, he's done many incredible things, and he started a lot of companies. He's been CEO for several. One of his companies, he was CEO, took them public. It achieved a market cap of $40 billion. The company that he's chairman of now, DocuSign, has truly transformed the way that business is done, the way people live their lives. It just went public about a month ago and is currently at about, I don't know, 10 or $11 billion. He's done some tremendous things in his business career. And with all of that, he credits to Sigma Chi. He learned all of his leadership lessons in Sigma Chi. He built all of his companies on the principles of Sigma Chi, inspiring a shared vision, having a high-performance team, a common set of values, a common core culture, building a family. All of that he learned as a SIG, all of that he learned as a consul, all of that he learned at workshops like these with you. So Keith has been honored in Sigma Chi for his business service. He's an Order of Constantine member, a significant SIG, a Hall of Fame SIG. He was very involved in Sigma Chi always, and I think that was part of why he was so successful in his business career, is that he stayed close with Sigma Chi. He served for the Leadership Training Workshop faculty for many, many years, was a chairman for 6 years, later was proconsul, and then your 64th Grand Consul, then served on the Board of Governors. He's been involved all through, and I think for him, coming back to Sigma Chi was always a place that felt like home for him. It was a place to come back and really dig deep and almost a spiritual experience where it sort of got back to the core principles of who he is and what he really is trying to do with his life. So I hope for all of the undergraduates here, you keep in mind that this workshop experience, this is an amazing experience as an undergrad, but it can continue for your whole life, and to come back and continue to give back, because for Keith, at least I know, it's really one of the keys to his success was coming back and being here, so I hope that many of you will. Keith has also given back in many other ways. His alma mater, Purdue, he was the chairman of the board of trustees there, and he was honored. They named the Leadership Center. It's an 81,000 square foot, huge, beautiful center named after him, the Krach Leadership Center. And I think the pinnacle of all dreams, the Delta Delta Chapter House, is named after Keith and George Ade. So he is a great Sigma Chi and a great businessman, and he's a very humble but a great philanthropist. He's done so much for our community and so much for people. So I'm deeply, deeply proud of him for the kind of man he is and for the life that he is leading. And so on behalf of our family, we have much of our family here today. 4 of our 5 children are here. Our daughter-in-law, our sort of adopted daughter, my dad. One of our sons is a Sigma Chi, Alpha Upsilon here. Alpha Upsilon. On behalf of all of our family, we're so proud to introduce you to Keith, and we most of all want to thank Sigma Chi for this fraternity of men of good character who have truly shaped the good man and the great leader that Keith is today. So without further ado, I'm honored to give you your 64th Grand Consul, Keith Krach.